I think that a lot of men are being deceived. And here's why. I think that the culture is promoting hypersexuality amongst men and women, right? That's what culture is promoting. And I think that that is a detriment to men, because I think that it teaches men to not exercise discipline in all areas. It teaches men that they can just run around and sleep with a bunch of women and there's little to no consequences. And that is just not true. Just like it's not good for women to do that. I do not advocate for women to just be out here moving around. That's not how I don't advocate for that, because I know what that does to women. But I absolutely do not think it is good for men either. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But namely, I think lust, corn is taking a lot of men out. It's just the truth. I've talked to a number of women, talked to a number of men that struggle with stopping watching corn, because corn is literally created for you to be addicted to. Literally. It's more accessible than it's ever been. And it increases this insatiable desire. That really, y'all, if you've been watching anything that's been going on in popular media, you know that it's a slippery slope. And unfortunately, we've seen a lot of people that we've held as pillars in our society end up incarcerated, because that lust is a serious situation. That lust is a serious situation. And I think it's very detrimental. I think it's extremely detrimental for men to walk and not have control over their flesh. I think it's detrimental because, y'all, when we go into biblical times, we talk about the first story, we talk about Genesis. God gave men dominion. He didn't just give dominion over himself. He gave dominion over all the animals, the plants, God gave men dominion. And I am troubled when I hear men advocating for other men to not even exercise dominion over their own bodies. So you're supposed to have dominion over everything else around you, but you don't have dominion over you? That's problematic. That is problematic. Y'all are kings. Y'all were meant to have dominion. And your inability to say no to things that are not good for you, as far as it relates to your flesh, that is problematic. That is problematic, family. And I think that when I'm seeing these things like, oh, these guys, blah, 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 this, that, and the third, you should sleep with a bunch of women and you da. That's like, I'm sorry. I've met a lot of men and I've communicated and coached men. I'm being honest. Coach men. I have not met one man that feels fulfilled by sleeping with a bunch of women. Part of the issue, part of the cycle is that I don't feel fulfilled, so I keep trying to get to new women, right? It's like, it's nonstop. Oh, she bad. No, 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 she bad. 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 And it becomes a rotation of women. Now, I know this is not popular. I know this is not what's being taught. I know that, a lot of men or a lot of people, I'm going to come in with facts and statistics tomorrow, so be prepared. But there are no statistics to back up that living a life, letting your flesh drive the car, is a more fulfilled life. There's no statistics to back up that watching porn every day is the tool to help you have a more fulfilled life. If anything, statistics show that discipline in all areas has you having a more fulfilled life. And so I'm not saying this because I want to hurt you, because that's not the case at all. I want to help you. I meet a lot of men that they allow their flesh to drive, and they've let their flesh drive for most of their life, because that's what's, you sleep with a bunch of women is what makes you cool, and that's what's normal. And that's what everybody's doing. Yeah. Until what? Until things are sabotaged. You know what I'm saying? You see a lot of men in their marriages, right? They sabotaging their marriages, sabotaging good relationships with good women. Why? Because they allow their flesh to drive the car. They never taught themselves to say no when they don't have anything to say no to. Like right now, the stakes are low. Learn how to say no now. Learn how to say, I'm not going to go in that direction. Because when you do get a wife, I don't care how bad she is. If you haven't taught your temptation's going to come, right? I'll say this to women as well. If you're not saying no in your waiting season, then how can I trust that you're going to say no in your season of fulfillment? God does test us most in our ability to say no than he does say yes. Men, you have way more power when you learn how to say no. When you learn how to say, nah, I ain't gonna do it. Nah, you know what? I'm gonna be cool on that. I don't need that. Why do you think men that have access to all these women decide to stop going in that direction? They understand that it just becomes another drug. It just becomes another dopamine hit. It just becomes another thing that controls you. You want to have ultimate control and dominion. You were created to have dominion, not only over the beasts of the fields and the snakes on the ground and the insects in the air. No, you were to have dominion over you. And I think it's detrimental. I think it's disastrous when we say, no, men, just go off with your flesh. That's why our society isn't being run correctly. Because men don't know how to say, they're not being taught to have self-control. Women are supposed to have self-control, but men just supposed to run amok. That's not true. That is deception. That's how we keep dismantling our own system. That's why we don't have the power that we desire. That's why our voice doesn't matter the way it should. You're going to be a king, but you don't have dominion over you. You can't tell you no, but you're supposed to be somebody king. Somebody's supposed to submit to you while you can't say no to the things that will inevitably come at you. No, you learn how to say no now. Women desire men that can exercise sexual discipline, period. I'm not attracted to men that don't know how to say no. I literally am not. I've met men and they may get a lot of women, but when I see them, how they move and how they move around and they with different women every week, or they post and they doing a lot, that's not attractive to me. I like my men picky. I like my men picky, icky. And I hope my man likes me picky because Sam picky. I'm not going for everybody, and I don't want a man that goes for everybody just because she look good. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people, what we fail to understand is that discipline, whether you are a male or whether you are a female, is incredibly attractive. Don't no man want a woman that's for everybody, and no woman want a man that's for every woman. I had a conversation with some teenagers on Saturday, and we were talking about relationships. And one of the young ladies had said to me, what'd she say? She was saying to me, she was a young lady, she's 17 years old. So it's a bunch of teenagers. I love working with teens, y'all. One of my favorite things to do is to talk to some teenagers. Okay, I love it. Absolutely love working with teens. It's like the highlight of what I do full time is working with teens. Although they think I'm a teenager, your girl ain't a teenager now, but I'll take it. I work in a high school, and I'm in the bathroom or whatever, and I'm getting ready to go. And one of the little girls in the bathroom said, "Are you a new student? When'd you get here?" I'm like, "Girl, Y'all, look, this is what I said in my head. I said, no, I pay bills. You are a bill. We're not the same. Although some teenagers are paying bills. But I said, look, I'm grown. I'm actually double your age. She was like, oh, you're an adult. A girl beyond an adult. I'm in my 30s. But I'll take it. I'll take it, Lord. If it's the cross I must bear, Jesus. Yes. Because, you know, these girls be looking grown, y'all. These girls be looking grown. They looking grown, but your girl be looking young. I'm saying, you know, when I was growing up, family. Oh, this is my foot. Oh, I got a cramp in my foot. Hold on. When I was, you know, younger, we were not allowed to wear, I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. Wasn't allowed to wear makeup like that. Wasn't. And so it wasn't until I was like 16. Y'all don't gotta, like, Trayshawn, y'all don't gotta say my age. Like, you don't have to say my age. You don't have to report my age, my demographic. You ain't gotta, like, you don't have to be the Sam report system. Like, I you know, every time somebody say something like, she's actually Ecuadorian, Jamaican, and white. Okay, I got it. I can say what I'm mixed with. I can say what, you know, what age I am. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, nonetheless, y'all, when I was growing up, we weren't allowed to wear makeup like that. We just weren't. Like, my mom was just not, I wasn't allowed to wear makeup until I was 16 years old. Now, there's kids that walk up into school, they 8th grade, they wear makeup. So I think times are different. And even when I started wearing makeup, when I started wearing too much of my makeup, my mom threw it out. I think that does do something for your skin. I think it does do something for aging. But that's a whole different situation. I probably parent my daughter a different way. I probably would, you know, yeah, light makeup, okay, but I wouldn't want her to be wearing a whole bunch of makeup at a young age. So that's the point. So back to my point. So I was talking to the 17, 16-year-olds, and we were talking about relationships. One of the things that I was saying to them was, one of the young ladies was like, well, you know, how do you determine, like, with dating things, what is an issue that you find, or like what's a red flag that women don't pay attention to, right? Or what do women do? What is a mistake that women make? And I think women and men both make the same mistake, and a lot of us settle. And I talked about that on the particular podcast that I was on, that I think a lot of us settle, right? And the reason why we settle, a lot of us settle, is because of the fact, on some part, as we were talking about celibacy, is that we're not making clear decisions. You would sleep with somebody is much easier to just kind of be like, well, God, I'm waiting on the one you have for me, but I'm gonna keep sleeping with her until she shows up. I'm gonna keep sleeping with her and her and her. And then when my wife shows up, I'm just gonna know. It's gonna be an epiphany moment. And bam, like, no, God is not gonna show you who your wife is while you still sleeping with another woman. You might be drawn to a woman and you're like, oh, I noticed this one. I noticed her. But the clarity is going to come when you by yourself. The clarity is going to come when you're able to say, you know what? After I thought about it, yeah, no, she's definitely it. But God can't speak to you when you're moving around in a way that you know he don't want you to.